And then Sarah wanted to finish with Michael. Is it just Sarah and Amber's question, right, with Michael?
I restate my question.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I kind of forgot it.
As a parent, if you find out that your child's addicted to pornography, what would, I can't remember exactly what I said. Something, how would you help them?
Yeah, like what would you, how do you, yeah. I think that the best way is just to be supportive and understanding. It's hard when an experience happens to someone else. It's hard to understand what they're going through when you haven't been through it yourself. That is a challenge. The best way is to remain calm. And if you need, some time to sleep on it and then, talk about it the next day, I think that's a smart decision. I think a lot of times we react impulsively, and that tends to cause some problems. And so I think that as a parent, try to sit down with them and understand what it is that they're going through. Try to remain calm, and then really just let them know that you're there for them to help them with whatever it is that they need help with. You're there to support them, and that everything is going to be okay. They're not a sinner, not a bad person. It's just a struggle that they're going through in this life, and that you're going to be there to help them through it.
So that was a great answer. My question was, and I hope this comes out correctly, but so like, and I don't know if this is gonna be weird, but what if someone were to say like addiction of pornography, or like even just in general any addiction, like, well, I don't know, what would you maybe say to them, or like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's an addiction is you have an addiction because it feels good or you enjoy it. And so I think that is something that is definitely possible where someone can say that they enjoy the addiction that they have. And I think that pornography, I guess I try to challenge them to to go like a week, just a couple days, depending on the severity of the addiction without it, just to see like how they feel. I know that um, when you're in when you're in the heat of it, that you're kind of, what am I trying to say? Um, you're not really thinking straight. Things that are going around you aren't real. The only thing that's important to you is when you can get your next fixed, when you can get your next view. And so I think that when you challenge someone to try to live a couple of days without it and see how they feel, a lot of the times they'll feel a little bit of a burden relieved. Depends per person on where they are in their life. But I think that trying to show them as well, if you, I know that you like it now, but if you keep going down the road you're going down, all these things could potentially happen. Um, you get a sexually transmitted disease, you could have a child, you could, even if it's just pornography and you're not acting on it, you could never get married, you could get married and then get divorced. And so all these things could happen. And so I think trying to maybe just in a way that's not super disrespectful or threatening, showing them the consequences of their actions further down the road. Because when you're in the moment, you're not really thinking about the future, you're just kind of thinking about the present. And so showing them what could happen might be an eye opener. Hopefully that answered that. Was that all the questions? I think everyone asked one. So
Then I guess it's my turn. Okay. My name is Sarah B, and I am also talking about pornography. Okay. There exists an addiction that has plagued the world for millennia. This addiction has been available for a long time, but has become so readily accessible that now it can be acquired at the push of a button. This addiction is one of the reasons for the disconnection from the family, as well as a large part of violence and abuse against women, men, and children across the globe. This addiction is pornography. In addition, this addiction is something that countless generations before have embraced. Pornography has plagued the American household in its worldwide acceptance. According to NBC News, globally, porn is a $97 billion industry at the present, between 10 to 12,000 billion, or 12 billion of that comes directly from the United States. It is easy to see how popular it is and how much money it generates around the world. Despite the popularity of it, companies are starting to stand up and beginning to do their part to fight against it. So why is pornography so dangerous? For starters, it affects each of us, even if we're not aware of it. It affects our children, our marriages, our families. Pornography has been known to be the leading cause of divorce among married couples, aside from financial disputes. It is also dangerous for our children. In a study conducted in 2008, 90% of children between the ages of 8 to 16 have reported viewing pornography. Pornography is a disease for both the body and mind. One organization in particular that is doing their part to make the world better understand the effects of pornography is the Fight the New Drug organization. Fight the New Drug stands against pornography with its famous slogan, porn kills love. With members in 155 countries around the world, Fight the New Drug is fighting to help everyone understand that pornography has drastic negative effects on the brain, on relationships, and even on society. Among the effects of the use of pornography are increased negative attitudes towards women, decreased empathy for victims of sexual violence, and an increase in dominating and sexually imposing behavior. A quote from Norman Dodge on Fight the New Drug's website says, "Pornographers promise healthy pleasure and relief from sexual attention, but what they often deliver is an addiction, tolerance, and an eventual decrease in pleasure." The reason our minds are so easily addicted to pornography is because of the dopamine levels in our brain. Dopamine is often quoted as controlling the pleasure systems in our brain. It is what causes us to seek out certain behaviors. Therefore, when curiosity strikes, dopamine is often to blame. Past research has shown that viewing pornography is similar to sending a text or viewing Facebook or Twitter. We are never satisfied with the information we see. That is exactly why our brain continually tries to get more and more of it. Dopamine is released every time we view a text or pornographic picture. And since dopamine is so addictive, we will never be satisfied with the amount that we consume. If we are to help our families resist the temptations that pornography presents, we must first prepare ourselves. Training our brain to resist the urges is not an easy feat. However, if we are persistent in avoiding pornography, we can fight it off and in turn help our family members fight it off too. I have a good friend who once struggled with pornography. They viewed it multiple times a day for years and struggled to overcome it. After years of the pornography addiction, they tried to quit multiple times without any success. It wasn't until they had a realization that pornography was leading them down a path in life that they didn't want to follow that they are able to humble themselves enough to get help. The mental demand and control that is required was unlike anything previously experienced. My friend struggled in their path, but were able to successfully overcome it with help from their family. While they may have overcame their pornography addiction, they still struggle with reoccurring images of what they saw. Mental focus is required every single day of their life in finding the will to fight against this addiction. Protecting ourselves and our families against pornography is not always an easy thing to do, but it is possible. By learning to recognize when dopamine is being released in our brain, we can control ourselves and resist the temptation to look. The saying goes, the best defense is a good offense. Learning to control our bodies is a paramount to success. By educating our friends and families about the dangers of pornography, we can better the world we live in. With help from companies such as Fight the New Drug, we can help spread the research that will hopefully eliminate the destructive forces of pornography that presents itself in our culture.
Great. So let me ask you, I have a question. So do you think there should be more legislation put forth as far as the laws against pornography? And what kind of legislation would you suggest if you feel like that should happen?
I think that there definitely should be legislation, but before you can do the legislation, I think it's important to publish the research, to do lots of the research so that people can see the reasons behind the legislation. As for policies, I think just working on shutting down the sites that supply pornography, especially because most of those sites also have child pornography on there. But working hard on shutting down the easy accessibleness of it.
Great, thanks.
I have a question for you. As a parent, what do you think the best way is that you can protect your children against pornography when they can easily go onto YouTube and accidentally, type in the word dance because they're looking for maybe a Just Dance video and it pulls up strippers? How do you?
It happened in my family. My little brother was running for some sort of position on the student council, and he looked up just on Google in the images, big buff guy, and it came up with all naked pictures of men. But I think the main thing that you can do as a parent is to talk to your child ahead of time about it, to have an open communication and bring up pornography and talk about some of the negative effects of it, and have a kind of relationship where your child can feel comfortable with talking to you about it, especially if they have viewed it. I think if they're afraid that if they tell you, you're going to just get mad at them, they're not going to be able to get the help that they need. And just being open and honest with your children about it.
Good, thank you.
So how would you help a child or a teenager who is going through a pornography addiction but doesn't want any help and is difficult to communicate with?
Well, that's a hard question. It's be honest, I think that you really can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. I think that you can still lovingly tell them and try to tell them, explain like the research to them about dopamine or about some of the effects it has on your brain function. Actually, it can. There's research that shows that it has similar effects as drugs in your brain and can decrease the connections between just the connections in your brain. But I think that you can just continually love them, explain to them that you're only trying to help them because you love them. And hope that that makes a difference in the long run.
Awesome.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so I have to think of another question because my question, I guess I originally had for you, I gave to Michael. So, dang it, what was it? Do you think that, and I might have missed part of your speech, but you talked about Fight the New Drug program, and do you think that that program is like best way, like do you think it's being is it helpful, and do you think that it's the best way to go, or do you think there's maybe a better way, I guess, if that makes sense?
I think that they're kind of the first organization to really push the research out there, because I feel like there has been research done on pornography, but it wasn't being what's the word, published in a way that people who struggle with pornography would be seeing the research. And so I feel like Fight the New Drug is a great organization because it just with people who support it, they wear the slogan shirts and love kills porn, you know. And I feel like those shirts will spike conversations. I've seen it happen before with people who've worn them in like California. It starts a conversation, and that conversation leads them to the research that can show the negative effects. Also, like, I think there's a couple celebrities that have brought it up too, and just I'm sure there is more ways than just that one organization to help, but I think that they're very helpful because they have such a large media platform at this point.
Great. I think that's it, right? Good job, guys.
Yeah, good job.
Do we want to do assignments for next week?
Yes. I think I'm up for a link.
Yeah.
Yep, I was just going to see if you'd want to do that. And then Amber, have you moderated recently? I hadn't seen. You'd be willing to do it?
Yes, as long as it's a baby.
Oh, that's right. You girls. Just let us know.
I'm doing it a half, so, but knowing my first child, I went late, so should be okay.
Darn it. Okay, so I will email you this link. Well, you already have it, so it should work, right? I'll just stop this broadcast.
And then Amber can post the links.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right? Okay.
Is
Sounds
it
good?
I think that's it.
Hope
have
so.
to-
Sarah,
what?
did you have a question?
I can't remember what I just said 2 seconds ago.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Okay. Well, let us know if you remember. You can always text us. Okay,
Okay.
we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
See you next week.
See you guys.